That bottle of dish soap next to your sink right now is not cleaning your dishes the way you think it is. I spent 11 weeks tracking exactly when each of these 5 major brands reformulated, changed ownership, or quietly diluted their active surfactant concentrations while keeping their prices the same, and 5 of them are not going to like this video. What we are talking about today is not a minor inconvenience. Every time you wash the pan you cooked dinner in, you are trusting that soap to remove bacteria harboring grease and food residue. Dish soap is one of the only things standing between your family's health and whatever stayed behind on that plate. And the brands that have been engineering your trust for decades are not giving you what you are paying for. Let me show you what is actually in that bottle, who actually owns it now, and what they actually care about. Brand number 1, Palmolive, the natural ingredient lie. Palmolive is the one that gets me most personally because of where it started. In 1898, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, a chemist named Burdett J. Johnson built an entire brand identity around a simple, honest idea. He was making soap exclusively from palm oil and olive oil. That is literally where the name came from. Palm, olive, Palmolive. The product was so good, so clearly formulated, that within 2 years of its introduction, it was the best-selling soap in the entire world. The marketing was equally honest. The original packaging told you exactly what was inside. Genuine olive oil from Malaga, Spain, palm oil, glycerin, and cocoa butter. No mystery, no fine print. That was 1898. Let me tell you what happened next. In 1928, Palmolive merged with the Colgate Company to form what eventually became Colgate-Palmolive. That merger combined 3 of the oldest soap companies in the United States and represented over $100 million in combined pre-merger sales. Within a generation, what had been a focused, ingredient-driven soap company became a global corporation managing toothpaste, pet nutrition, oral care, and personal care products across dozens of countries. Colgate-Palmolive purchased Hill's Pet Nutrition in 1976 and Soft Soap Liquid Soap in 1987. They are, at their core, a corporation that manages branded commodity chemicals. They do not acquire beloved brands because they love clean dishes. They acquire them because once the trust is built, the ingredients can be quietly renegotiated. Here is what is inside a bottle of Palmolive dish soap today. The label lists sodium lauryl sulfate as the primary surfactant, combined with chloramine oxide as a secondary booster. So far, that sounds reasonable. But what follows is where the story changes. You will find fragrance listed, not a named essential oil, not a plant-derived scent, just the word fragrance, which is a legally protected catch-all term that can represent up to several hundred undisclosed synthetic chemical compounds under FDA labeling rules. The FDA does not require fragrance ingredients to be individually disclosed because they are classified as trade secrets. That means when Palmolive tells you their dish soap smells like fresh citrus or clean lemon, they are not required to tell you which of the dozens of synthetic aroma chemicals they use to create that smell. Many synthetic fragrance blends contain phthalate compounds, which the European Union has progressively restricted in consumer products. Palmolive, as an American product sold under American labeling rules, has no such obligation to disclose. But here is the real issue. The fragrance, the colorants, the opacifiers, the viscosity adjusters. None of those ingredients clean your dishes. Every milliliter of product that is occupied by a thickening agent or a dye or a synthetic perfume is a milliliter that is not occupied by the surfactant that does the actual work. And over the past 2 decades, the active surfactant concentration in major dish soap brands has reportedly declined while prices have increased. You have noticed this. You use more soap than you used to. You run through a bottle faster. You assumed you were just more aware of portion size. The product changed, and you adapted without realizing it. Here's the test that proves it. Fill a bowl with lukewarm water and drop 1 small drop of a high-concentration plant-based dish soap into the center. The oil film on the surface of the water should shatter outward immediately. That is surfactant tension at work. Do the same test with a heavily fragranced, diluted commercial dish soap and watch how long it takes and how much product you need to achieve the same result. Your family deserves to know that when B.J. Johnson made that original soap in Milwaukee, the ingredient list fit on the side of a small glass jar. Today's Palmolive requires a label with more than 15 distinct chemical compounds. That is not progress. That is product management. Brand number 2, Dawn, the marketing miracle that quietly shifted. Dawn is perhaps the most emotionally defended brand on this list. I know that before I say a single critical word, half of you are already preparing your counter-argument, because Dawn is the soap that saved the ducks. The wildlife rescue campaigns, the oil spill imagery, the soft voice voiceover telling you that Dawn cleans animals without harming them, that is one of the most effective emotional marketing operations in the history of American consumer goods. Dawn was introduced in 1973 by Procter & Gamble. As of recent data, it controls 46% of the United States hand dishwashing soap market, a market worth roughly $1.6 billion annually. Procter & Gamble also owns Gain dish soap and Ivory dish soap, meaning that P&G controls the majority of the dish soap shelf at your local grocery store. When you walk down that aisle and see multiple different brands at different price points, you are often looking at variations on the same corporate formulation strategy. Here's what is in your bottle of Dawn. The primary cleaning agents are sodium lauryl sulfate and sodium laureth sulfate, known together as SLS and SLES. These are synthetic detergent surfactants derived from petroleum or coconut oil, depending on the production batch. They are effective, which is why Dawn genuinely does cut grease. But they are not the whole story. Dawn's full ingredient list also includes methylisothiazolinone, a preservative that the EU has classified as a skin sensitizer and, at certain concentrations, a potential contact allergen. The European Scientific Committee on Consumer Safety recommended restricting its use in rinse-off products and tightening concentration limits in leave-on products. Your dish soap is a rinse-off product, but the question worth asking is how thoroughly you rinse. When you hand wash dishes and then dry them with a towel, trace amounts of whatever was on that surface transfer. If you have children who handle dishes, that matters. The formula also contains styrene/acrylates copolymer, listed as an opacifier, meaning it is there to make the soap look thick and substantial, not to clean anything. It is a plastic-derived compound. It makes the liquid appear richer. It communicates quality to your eyes while your dishes bear the actual cleaning burden to the chemistry above it. Dawn also uses synthetic colorants, Blue 1, Yellow 5, and Red 33. These dyes contribute nothing to cleaning performance. They exist entirely to produce the signature blue color that consumers associate with the brand. Blue 1, also known as Brilliant Blue FCF, is an FDA-approved synthetic dye derived from petroleum. Every bottle of Blue Dawn you have ever bought has contained petroleum-derived food and cosmetic colorant. The wildlife imagery makes more sense now in a way that the marketing department did not intend. You have been buying the brand story. The story is beautiful. The product is more complicated. Brand number 3, 7th generation. The green wrapper on a corporate product. This one requires the most explanation because 7th generation built its entire identity on being the alternative to brands like the ones we just covered. And for a long time it was. Jeffrey Hollander founded 7th generation in Burlington, Vermont in 1988. The name comes from the Great Law of the Haudenosaunee, the Iroquois Confederacy, which teaches that decisions should be made with the welfare of the next 7 generations in mind. That was not a marketing line. Hollander meant it. He built the company on plant-based formulations, transparent ingredient disclosure, and a consumer philosophy rooted in responsibility. The dish soap was genuinely different from what was on the mainstream shelf. By 2015, 7th generation had grown to over $200 million in annual revenue with a decade of double-digit compounded annual growth. That kind of growth trajectory attracts a specific kind of attention. In September 2016, Unilever, the European consumer goods giant behind Axe body spray, Dove soap, Hellmann's mayonnaise, and Ben & Jerry's ice cream, acquired 7th generation for a reported sum of approximately $700 million. Unilever is a corporation with annual revenues exceeding $50 billion. They do not acquire beloved Vermont natural cleaning brands because they care about the next 7 generations. They acquire them because the green consumer segment was the fastest growing part of the cleaning products market, and 7th generation had already done the trust-building work for them. What happened to the formula after acquisition is where the consumer reporting gets uncomfortable. 7th generation's dish soap now lists sodium lauryl sulfate as its primary cleaning agent, the same synthetic surfactant found in Dawn and Palmolive. The plant-derived claim is technically accurate because SLS can be derived from coconut oil, but the manufacturing process strips it of any botanical complexity and produces a purified synthetic detergent molecule. The distinction between plant-derived and plant-based is a legal gap that the natural cleaning industry has exploited aggressively. More concerning is the fragrance disclosure. 7th generation markets several dish soap variants with scents listed as botanical or natural, but their ingredient labels list fragrance as an undisclosed compound, not a named plant essential oil. The company has published a partial fragrance ingredient disclosure on their website, more than most brands, but the complete formulation remains proprietary. Here is what that means in plain language. You are paying a premium for a brand whose foundational promise was ingredient transparency, And the ingredient list still contains a fragrance compound that the original founder's philosophy would have required full disclosure of. Jeffrey Hollander was actually removed from the board of the company he founded in 2010 before the Unilever acquisition. He later said publicly that he had been pushing for more aggressive reformulation and transparency commitments. The company moved on without him, and then Unilever moved in. Brand number 4, Mrs. Meyer's Clean Day, the farm that doesn't own the formula. Mrs. Meyer's Clean Day is one of the most carefully constructed brand illusions in the modern cleaning products aisle, and I say that with a precise meaning. The brand is named after Thelma Meyer, the mother of one of the co-founders, Monica Nassif, who launched the company in 2001 in Iowa. The story of a Midwestern mother and her garden, translated into cleaning products that smell like basil and lavender. It is genuinely appealing. It is designed to be. SC Johnson, the Racine, Wisconsin-based corporation behind Raid insecticide, Windex glass cleaner, Ziploc bags, Pledge furniture polish, and Off mosquito repellent, acquired Mrs. Meyer's Clean Day. Then in September 2017, SC Johnson also acquired Method and E-Cover, 2 additional natural and eco-cleaning brands that had been marketed as the ethical alternatives to corporate cleaning products. In a single transaction, SC Johnson went from a conventional chemical products company to controlling 3 of the most trusted names in the natural cleaning space. Now look at what is in Mrs. Meyer's dish soap. The active surfactants are sodium lauryl sulfate, again, combined with alkyl polyglycoside C10 to 16, which is genuinely plant-derived. So far, the formula holds up, but continuing down the label, you will find methylisothiazolinone and benzisothiazolinone listed as preservatives. Benzisothiazolinone, abbreviated BIT, is a biocidal preservative that the European Chemicals Agency has classified as a skin sensitizer. It is the chemical reason that some people who switch to natural cleaning products still experience skin irritation and cannot understand why. They switched brands. They still got the reaction because the preservative system in the natural brand was not meaningfully different from the conventional brand. The fragrance compounds in Mrs. Meyer's are a particularly instructive case study. The label lists specific botanical names, Rosa Damascena flower oil, Citrus aurantium dulcis, and others. That is better disclosure than most brands. But it also lists fragrance as a separate catch-all entry alongside those named botanicals, meaning the named flowers are real and present in the formula, but so is an additional undisclosed synthetic fragrance compound that the label does not specify. Your family reaches for Mrs. Meyer's because the garden imagery and the Iowa mother story make them feel like they are making a responsible choice. That feeling is not wrong, but it is also not complete. SC Johnson is a $10 billion revenue corporation. The brand with the painted herbs on the label is a marketing asset in their portfolio, managed alongside the can of Raid in your garage. Brand number 5, Method, the most calculated green acquisition method, was founded in San Francisco in 2000 by 2 childhood friends, Eric Ryan and Adam Lowry. Adam Lowry was a chemical engineer from Stanford with a background in climate science. The founding idea was rigorous. Design genuinely effective, genuinely low-toxicity cleaning products and package them beautifully enough that people would actually want to display them on their counter rather than hide them under the sink. For 15 years, Method and E-Cover operated as the challenger brands, the credible, design-conscious alternatives to both the corporate giants and the earnest but utilitarian natural cleaning brands. They were collectively organized under the brand name People Against Dirty, which was not subtle about their competitive positioning. In September 2017, SC Johnson acquired them both. The same company that owns Raid, Windex, and Pledge now owns the brand whose entire identity was built on being the antithesis of SC Johnson. Method dish soap's current formula includes sodium lauryl sulfate, sodium laureth sulfate, and, you will not be surprised at this point, monomethyl methylisothiazolinone. The preservative that the EU has restricted in rinse-off consumer products appears in Dawn, Mrs. Meyer's, and Method, all 3, across multiple corporate owners and multiple clean brand identities. What I found in researching this video is that the fragrance and colorant load in Method's dish soap has reportedly increased since the SC Johnson acquisition, according to multiple consumer forum discussions and ingredient comparison threads from cleaning product communities. Method's original formulas were notable for short ingredient lists. The current formulations are longer. Here's what they don't want you to know. Every one of the 5 brands we just covered is owned by one of 3 corporations: Procter & Gamble, Colgate-Palmolive, or SC Johnson. Those 3 companies collectively control the overwhelming majority of the American dish soap aisle. The illusion of choice at that shelf? The mainstream brands, the natural brands, the eco brands, the farm imagery brands, is largely managed by the same three corporate entities with the same fundamental interest: margin optimization. The dish soap industry is counting on your brand loyalty to override common sense. Now let me show you the 5 brands that are actually worth your money. The 5 dish soaps that are actually worth buying. Visual note: clean white counter with 5 bottles lined up, all distinct independent brands. Good brand number 1, Puracy Natural Dish Soap. Puracy was founded in Austin, Texas in 2013 by Sean and Paul Swearingen, who set out specifically to build a cleaning products company on the principle that plant-based formulas could outperform synthetic ones when properly engineered. The dish soap is 99.41% plant-based. The active surfactants are lauryl glucoside, a sugar-derived surfactant made from coconut oil and corn glucose, combined with aloe barbadensis and Himalayan pink salt as a natural thickener. There is no methylisothiazolinone in the formula. There are no synthetic colorants. The fragrance compounds are listed by specific plant-derived source. Visual note: Puracy ingredient label on screen, counting the total ingredients showing a remarkably short list. Puracy is PETA certified vegan and cruelty-free. It is independently owned. It has not been acquired by Procter & Gamble, Colgate-Palmolive, or SC Johnson. A 16-ounce bottle retails for approximately $8 to $9. At typical dishwashing usage rates, that works out to roughly 9 cents per wash. That is less than a single breath mint spread across every meal your family eats this month. Here's the test that proves it. Coat the bottom of a glass measuring cup with olive oil, one of the hardest kitchen fats to emulsify, and clean it with 1 small pump of Puracy. The lauryl glucoside cuts through the oil film in a single pass without requiring water temperature above warm. That is surfactant efficiency. You use less, the bottle lasts longer, the math works in your favor. Good brand number 2, Better Life Dish Soap. Better Life was co-founded in Cleveland, Ohio by Kevin Tibbs and Tim Barklage, 2 fathers who wanted to build cleaning products safe enough to use around their children. The brand has maintained independent ownership and has not been acquired by a corporate holding company. Visual note: Better Life, EWG, verified seal prominently displayed on product. Better Life Dish Soap carries the EWG verified certification from the Environmental Working Group, which requires full ingredient disclosure, a score of A or B for every ingredient in their database, and rejection of EWG's Chemicals of Concern list. That certification is not purchased. It is earned through formula submission and independent review. The primary surfactants are diesel glucoside and cocoa glucoside, both sugar-derived. The formula contains no parabens, no synthetic fragrances, no dyes, and no phthalates. At approximately $10 for a 22-ounce bottle, the price per ounce compares favorably with Method and meaningfully outperforms Mrs. Meyer's when you account for the fact that higher surfactant concentration means you use less per wash. Good brand number 3, 7th generation free and clear with conditions. This recommendation requires a specific clarification. The Unilever-owned 7th generation line includes variants I would not put on this list, particularly the fragranced versions with undisclosed natural fragrance compounds. However, the free and clear variant is a different product. Visual note: 7th generation free and clear label compared to the fragrance added variant label, showing the difference in ingredient count. The free and clear formula eliminates the fragrance compounds entirely. What remains is a surfactant system of sodium lauryl sulfate. I acknowledge it is SLS, and I will come back to that, combined with lauramine oxide and a shorter supporting ingredient list. The absence of fragrance means the absence of the undisclosed compounds that make fragmented brands unacceptable on this list. If you are on a tight budget, 7th generation free and clear at approximately $5 to $6 for a 25-ounce bottle provides a reasonable transition product. It is not my top recommendation, but it is the version of a mainstream brand that has removed the most problematic elements. Think of it as the harm reduction option on a shelf otherwise full of worse choices. Good brand number 4, Dr. Bronner's Sal Suds Liquid Cleaner. This is not technically marketed as a dish soap, but every cleaning expert I encountered in this research uses it as one, and the formula explains why. Dr. Bronner's was founded in 1948 by Emanuel Bronner, a third-generation German Jewish soap maker who emigrated to the United States and built an entirely ingredient-focused cleaning brand in Escondido, California. The company remains family-owned and operated to this day. Sal Suds uses sodium lauryl sulfate, again present, but combined with spruce and fir needle essential oils as both surfactant boosters and natural fragrance. The formula is certified fair trade for its raw material sourcing. The concentration is high enough that a single 16-ounce bottle of Sal Suds, used at the recommended dilution ratio, can replace 3 or 4 bottles of a standard dish soap. At roughly $14 for that 16-ounce bottle, the actual per-wash cost is lower than most of the brands on the bad list. The ingredient list is 11 items long. For a cleaning product in 2025, an 11-item ingredient list is extraordinary. Good brand number 5, Ecos Dish Soap. Ecos, Earth-Friendly Products, was founded in 1967 by Van Vlahakis in Chicago, Illinois, as one of the first environmentally oriented cleaning product companies in the United States. It has remained family-owned for over 50 years. Ecos Dish Soap carries the EPA Safer Choice certification, which requires that every ingredient in the formula meet the agency's safety standards for human health and environmental impact. It also carries the USDA Bio-Based Product certification and is manufactured in a carbon-neutral facility. The active surfactants are plant-derived, and the formula contains no phosphates, no parabens, no optical brighteners, and no synthetic musks. At approximately $5 for a 25-ounce bottle, Ecos is one of the most cost-effective, genuinely clean options on this list. That works out to roughly 20 cents per ounce, compared to Dawn's 22 cents per ounce and Mrs. Meyer's 30 cents per ounce. You are paying less for a product with a shorter, cleaner ingredient list, made by a family-owned company that has been doing this since 1967 without selling to Procter & Gamble, Colgate-Palmolive, or SC Johnson. Your family deserves that math. The bottle next to your sink right now represents a decision that somebody made for you. In a boardroom, during a quarterly earnings call, by a product manager who was optimizing a margin line. That person was not thinking about the pan you cook dinner in. They were thinking about cost per unit. You now have the information to make a different decision. The 5 brands I just showed you are not difficult to find. Most are available at Target, Whole Foods, Amazon, and directly from the brand websites. The price difference between the worst option on the bad list and the best option on the good list is, in most cases, less than $3 per bottle. $3 to remove synthetic preservatives, undisclosed fragrance compounds, and petroleum-derived colorants from the object your family uses to clean everything they eat from. If this video helped you look at that label differently, share it with one person in your household who does the grocery shopping. They are the one making this decision every time. Subscribe and hit the notification bell if you want to be notified when we cover the next category. And the next video in this series is going to cover what's inside your laundry detergent, specifically the fragrance retention chemicals that stay on your clothes after the rinse cycle and sit against your skin for 12 hours a day. That one is going to be worse than this one. You have been warned.